You're listening to The Parallel Paths, a podcast designed to elevate your mind, body, and spirit so that you can get everything you want out of life. The only question is, are you ready?
Do you have a business or looking to start one? Establishing your online presence is key. Bluehost makes it quick and easy to get your website up and going, making it an ideal solution for beginners with its fast loading speeds and variety of features. Powering over 2 million websites, Bluehost offers a full range of hosting services, SEO, and much more, all at budget-friendly prices. Sign up today for web hosting as low as $3.95 per month. Click our link in the show notes for instant access to this incredible
Welcome
deal.
back to the Parallel Paths podcast. I'm your co-host, Makeda Moore.
And I'm your other co-host, Blair McClendon.
And we're back with another week of knowledge for you all. This week in our series all about how to heal the Black community, we're talking about what we eat. And as you can see with our background, I got Dr. Sevi on mine, and so does Blair. And the quote that reads, "Real soul food is food that enhances the soul, our central sun, our melanin, our carbon, fruits, vegetables, grains. This is the real soul food." So, Blair, let's talk about food. This is a topic that Blair and I can talk about all day. So we were going to condense it down because we were doing shorter episodes this season. But Blair, kick us off with food in our community, our relationship with food, where the issue is, and then we'll talk solutions.
I mean, just like anything else, it's systematic, it's deep-rooted. So where do I begin? I guess to start out, we as a culture have not been exposed to what real food actually is. Oftentimes because we don't necessarily have the resources in our communities or in our neighborhoods to get that food. But truly learning what real food is, which is your fruits, your vegetables, your alkaline foods, which you can definitely look up, Dr. Sebi's recommended list. But the foods that give you life, consuming meat, dairy, the different breads, the glutens, that stuff is only lowering your vibration. So if you think of it in the same sense of you're consuming an animal, so let's just say chicken or a cow. That animal has been dead for quite some time by the time you ingest it. So the protein that you think you're getting is just processed protein that they've already processed, when you can actually get direct protein from live sources. So if you're consuming a dead vibration, you're only lowering your vibration. When you're consuming a live vibration, like a fruit, which you can actually see ripening, you're raising your vibration. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah, so Blair, he went deep. He went to the deep end already, out of the gate. And Blair talks about vibration because when you think about life, like, think about when you're feeling full of energy, when you're feeling your best, that's more of a high vibrational state. When you're depressed, when you're sick, when you're dead, that's a low vibrational state. That's why it's important to eat foods that are high vibrational, eat foods that are alive. So the cows are out there eating the grass and the vegetables. And then, they're then transferring that, like Blair said, taking that protein, converting it over. Now they're putting it into their own protein. And now we're eating the secondary source rather than just going to the original source anyways. And when we talk about like vegetarianism and veganism, or just like a general more so plant-based diet, within the Black community, we often get a lot of backlash, consider that's a white thing to do. When we look back at our history, primarily plant-based diets is what we were eating. You look at a lot of African cultures, they eat a lot of vegetable soups and vegetables and grains and things like that. It wasn't until we came over here until we were brought over here to America that we were fed scraps. We weren't being able to eat the foods of the earth that we traditionally were making or cultivating. But yeah, we were allowed to grow some of our own foods, but primarily we were fed the scraps, like all the leftover garbage food that the plantation owners didn't want to, that they didn't want. So we were given those scraps, and then for whatever reason, we've carried that tradition to where in 2020 we still got people eating pig feet, intestines.
Chitlins.
Yeah, like I don't understand. I
It's like,
remember.
bro, it's just not slavery times no more. You don't have to eat chitlins anymore.
No, you don't
Like,
have to eat the leftovers, the ears, the
yeah.
snouts, and all that crap. So that's just,
Even wait, but even seasoning vegetables with that stuff. Like, why do you have to have a turkey leg or some ham hocks or something like that and some greens? Like, just eat the greens and season it with the herbs.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Completely different taste. Definitely changes the dish.
And it's different style of cooking. But we, like we said, like, initially how to eat was taught to us. So we had that error in our ways. And then now you look at most of the neighborhoods. If you look at predominantly Black neighborhoods, what do you see on the corners? You see Popeyes, you see like all these fast food places, you see little bodega-ish kind of stores or dollar stores with have nothing but canned food, processed foods, things like that. You don't see a Publix, you don't see a Whole Foods, you don't see those kinds of stores in those Black neighborhoods. So we were taught a way to eat, and then we're been kind of forced a way to eat that's not good and conducive to our health. And I know Blair and I were talking about some of those health problems earlier, like some of the consequences of our eating habits. Blair, do you want to go into some of those?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, but it's three things you can find in the hood:
Liquor store?
liquor, yeah, liquor stores, churches, and fast food. But um, you said as far as my own food challenges.
Well, just in general, like what are some of the like the health consequences that we see within the Black community, primarily tied to what we're eating, and then also
Got
I
you.
know you have a personal story. I'd like you to share too.
Yeah, so from firsthand experience, I definitely treated my body like trash and suffered the consequences dearly. So I think for me, it just caught up a lot quicker than it'll catch up for everybody else. But consuming beef, pork, chicken, seafood, you name it, everything across the board, everything filled with gluten, all your breads, waking up every morning eating a muffin or a honey bun or whatever, but starting the day out with bread, which is the complete opposite of what you wanted to do. You name it, I was doing it. Even from drinking in college and stuff, just purely abusing my body. Just you see the alkalinity chart behind me. I was definitely between that 1 and that 4. We'll have some veggies here and there, but eating like trash. So around my 23rd birthday, I started having severe stomach cramps and had to be taken to the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. And after a couple stints in the hospital, um, doctors kind of inconclusively diagnosed me with Crohn's. And so at that particular time, I even asked them,
What's Crohn's
like,
disease?
Crohn's is almost like an IBS, like an irritable bowel syndrome. It's like um, it's discomfort like within your digestional tract or your small intestine, specifically for me, but super painful. Can't really eat. Like for in my case, like the pain was so bad, like it was causing me to throw up. So like it literally would feel like I don't know how to have a baby clearly, but I can kind of imagine what a contraction would feel like. Like it was bad. So the pain medication that they had me on, I was on this stuff called Dilaudid. It's like 10 times stronger than morphine. A couple stints that I was in the hospital. And so just to get the pain under control was one thing, but just the actual digestive piece of it, like trying to figure out what to eat was the main thing. And I even asked doctors like, yo, what do I eat? They're like, oh, you can continue eating whatever. So at that moment in time, I was like, all right, one, they trying to kill me with the stuff that they're giving me. Uh, this medicine that I was taking for at least a year is a cancer medication. I'm like, why would you prescribe somebody with a stomach condition a cancer medication? So I almost like have like a low key vendetta against Big Farm. And Big Sean talks about it in his songs with the heart condition and taking magnesium for it. It's so many ways that you can naturally heal your body. We just aren't given those tools. But with a little bit of questioning and research, that'll take you a long way. So, I mean, I can talk about this forever, but I'm sure you have something else you want to say.
Yeah. And myself too. Like I'm the type of person where if I feel a cold coming on, I immediately go to my ginger, my garlic, my lime, get me some alkaline water. I'll eat some oranges, whatever it is. Or if I'm having digestive issues, I eat some watermelon. I'll, go get a whole watermelon and just eat that for some time. We can heal through food. Food is meant to heal. However, the way in which we have been taught and the way we continue to consume food, it's killing us,
Yeah.
right? So the top killers within the Black community include diabetes, heart disease, colon cancer, and obesity. These are all preventable things that are being caused by what we eat. Like, we get so mad about, again, people killing us, but we're doing so much to add to the problem. So our job is to not add to the problem of people killing us and victimizing us. How about we take responsibility of things that we can control, which is what we put in our body. And once you start putting good things into your body will be more lively. You'll be able to think better, right? And as a society, we'll be able to heal our traumas and all these things, both physically, spiritually, at all levels, we'll be able to begin to heal. But it requires us to start putting in good foundations, because you are what you eat. We hear that term all the time, but people don't take it seriously. Like literally the building blocks of your body, or your cells, are built off of what you're putting in your body. So if you're eating nothing but oils and fried chicken and hot fries and all this stuff, that's what you're creating your body off of. So you can't expect it to function very long, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Parallel Podcast listeners, don't forget to check out our own personal brands. If you're looking to learn more about mindfulness, mindset, and meditation, catch me live on Instagram every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or schedule a free one-on-one consult with me. All that information is in the link in my bio at Makeda Smiles. Also, if you're looking for anything health and wellness related, check out Blair's Instagram at 3 Layers of Wellness for links to his website and resources. And for all my Floridians, don't forget to check out bonafidefla.com. That's bonafidefla.com for all things Florida. You can find all of this information in the show notes as well. Now back to the show. Right.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, just to connect the dots, like you are what you eat, as Makeda said. So long story short, to fast forward a bit, I changed my diet, started cutting stuff out. I first eliminated beef and pork and dairy, like right away, cold turkey, like no weaning off, like I was just done with it. And within 2 weeks, I could tell the difference just in how I was breathing, like how much clearer I could breathe.
That mucus.
Yeah, mucus almost like eliminated just from that. But then as time progressed, I continued with eliminating chicken, seafood. So like now I'm just plant-based whole foods. No gluten. Gluten, I figured out I have like an allergy. So that was actually triggering my seasonal allergies. So eliminating that, I can enjoy springs like I never have before. But I eat to feel good. So people are like, oh, well, just try this cake or have this piece of cornbread or whatever this is. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Or even with drinking, like I'm good. Like I appreciate my health too much and have been through too much on the health end to take it for granted. So I eat to feel good. And that includes the fruits, the veggies, like anything lively, anything that's gonna give you life. And I know we've talked about it in a previous episode, but the itis isn't normal. You shouldn't eat and feel sleepy afterwards. You should eat. Your food should be your fuel. So you should be energized after you have a meal.
Yeah, for sure. And we understand, at least I can speak for myself, because I don't know Blair, like when he puts something to his mind, he does it. I understand changing your food is hard. It is very
It
hard.
is
Um, not
definitely not
only
easy. It takes time.
not only do we have a biological dependence on certain foods, but also culturally. So like, I know when I decided to be a vegetarian when I was 10, I got a lot of resistance. And that was just me, just like, I was like, I don't like the blood and the texture and all that stuff. And when I started going to college, I was seen as like the white girl because I wasn't eating all these other traditional, quote unquote Black foods. So we understand there definitely will be resistance. and there is a desire to have certain foods, but you can take those traditional soul foods and cook them in a healthier way, that are still tasty. It might take a little bit more creativity and thinking, but nowadays, plant-based is such a trend. You know, you can go to just any city and you can find a vegan restaurant, especially like some of these vegan soul food restaurants. So, you know, we understand it's hard, but you have to realize, don't, just because you're used to sickness and pain doesn't mean it's right. A lot of us will sit there and pop these little antacid pills to deal with the bloating, but it's like, if your body's saying no, then why do you keep doing that? Like, why are you abusing yourself? You know, and you know, we've talked about self-love in previous episodes. Treating your, the temple, you know, in Christianity, we talk about respecting the temple, but then these preachers will go out here talking about, like, after the church service is over, we're feeding everybody, you know, fried chicken, mac and cheese. And it's like, what happened to the whole respecting our temple? Like, we sit there and criticize, you know, people for drinking, but then what's worse is eating a pecan pie and how much sugar is in that versus in alcohol. So it's just like, you know, it's not an easy change to make, but it's worth it. I would say just do it for a week and you'll notice. Because there's been times where I've fallen off. Like I was telling Blair, like when I came back out here to LA, I started drinking again. And I quickly came back to the decision, drinking is not for me. Like it's just, I don't want to feel like crap throughout the week. It clouds my mind. My body feels heavier. And for the ladies out there, talk about that WAP. It ain't gonna be right if you eat all that yeast, all that meat, all that stuff. Like if you want the best body, sexually and, you know, to reproduce, that takes a clean environment, and that's gonna be fruits and vegetables, lots of water, things like that.
Yeah, even with the fellas, man, like you are what you eat. So your woman, if she happened to taste you a little bit, she can tell if you acid or if you alkaline, so, or acidic or alkaline. So I don't know. I just think overall we have to look at things that we deem as normal and question it. Because a lot of times what often appears as normal isn't actually normal. And I know Makeda just mentioned, like, you can find vegan spots starting to pop up everywhere, but just be careful. Everything vegan isn't healthy. Sometimes the vegan stuff is worse than you just eating the regular meat, like the Impossible Burgers and stuff like that. So that stuff is packed with soy and it's processed soy. So I know a lot of times people are like, oh, soybeans are healthy for you, but we're not actually getting organic soy here. Everything here is super processed. So if you were to go to like an Asian country or something like that, you're more, I guess, apt to find the pure soybeans. But like here, most of that stuff that has soy in it, especially for the men, you're not trying to add estrogen and stuff to your body. That's gonna mess you up. So
It's
that's
got
another
colors in it
conversation.
too. Like you look at that Impossible Burger, it looks like meat. They put dye in it, all this
Terrible for
stuff.
you.
Yeah, definitely.
Terrible.
Okay, so we've talked about what people shouldn't be eating, or okay, let's talk a little bit about what people shouldn't be eating, like some of the major things that people should avoid, and then touch on maybe some other suggestions and, you know, maybe some resources. What are some of the big things people should avoid eating?
Gluten for one.
So it's
Gluten
like bread.
processes, like it literally, I mean, you take the root word gluten, like it literally is, it turns to glue as it processes in your body. So you can look up a picture of a clean colon versus one packed with plaque, what would be meat, breads and stuff like that have just hardened over time. And it's harder for you to have bowel movements. So like a lot of times, men and women, you might have like a little pudge. That pudge isn't actually fat. It's just feces that's trapped. So like with particular detoxes that you can do, you can lose 5-10 pounds and it look like you have abs afterwards. And it's like the abs have been there, but it's just that trapped stuff that's just sitting in your body.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Blair said gluten. Also, be mindful of the oils. So avoid
Definitely.
vegetable oil, canola oil. Avoid those like the plague. You can replace those with grapeseed oil, olive oil, but you shouldn't heat olive oil. Avocado oil is good. Coconut oil is good. Grapeseed oil is probably the one I would cook with. The other ones I wouldn't cook with. Also avoid, if you can, avoid the meats. Like, I
Of
know it's
course.
harder to do, but you know, if you can do more of a fish and doing it, it's like wild caught fish. If you are going to do meat and you don't want to eliminate that, do grass fed, free range options like that. So where you're not eating meat that's been stressed out because it's about to die and it sees its friends getting their heads chopped off. Like, you don't want that kind of meat. You want humanely, like kosher meat, things like that have been prayed over, things like that. Obviously you want to avoid sugars, anything processed.
I was just gonna say sugar.
Anything that comes in a box or a bag, avoid that. Because sugar is so toxic to the body, especially stop feeding these babies. Like I see these kids getting so much sugar and it's like, it's so toxic to them.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
even with sweeteners, like you can look for honey, agave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely other things that you can use to sweeten things.
Mm-hmm.
And then also coffee. Coffee is another one that I know people consume daily. That's super acidic. Just something to keep in mind.
Yep. You replace coffee with black tea or green tea. For those people who do
Or
want,
water. Just get you alkaline water. Start your day with water.
mm-hmm. And then for those who do want like meat alternatives, you know, go to your beans. Jackfruit is a great it gives you that texture of meat, but it's actually a fruit.
Mushrooms.
Oh, I love mushrooms. Mushrooms all day.
And I'm a huge beans and legumes person, so every week I'm making a pot.
Mm-hmm. Instead of rice, try quinoa. Those more natural gains, and we'll definitely put some links in the show notes this time, for different food lists for you guys, as well as like other videos that would be helpful.
You can go to 3 Layers of Wellness too. I got plenty of videos on my YouTube as well as my website. You can go to the blog and plenty of resources for you to find all this stuff.
Yeah, Blair's got y'all. So we have no excuses now. The knowledge is there. Now it just comes down to you deciding, and you might not be deciding for yourself, but do you want your children and your children's children to experience the same pains and chronic health conditions that you're experiencing, or that you've seen your mom die from, your dad die from, your grandma die from? Do we want to stop that cycle and take our bodies and our health back into our own hands? You know, we talk about wanting more freedom. This is your opportunity to exercise that freedom by not putting foods that the system has pushed at you to keep you enslaved. So let's just change our way of thinking about that. Start loving ourselves through what we eat, and what we share, what we feed our families.
For sure. Because health conditions aren't passed down by generation like we're taught. It's eating habits. So you eating the same as the ancestors before you is causing those same diseases. So this is the way to start breaking those generational curses.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that is today's episode. As always, you know, share your comments, like the video, share with other people. We want to continue to grow the Parallel Paths podcast community. So as we grow, you grow, and as you grow, we grow. So let's all, you know, contribute as we can to this community. Check out the links in the show notes. And with that, sending you all peace and love.
Yeah, peace, family. Have a good week.